Ni hao, guten Tag, assalamu alaikum. Hola, ¿cómo está? How y'all doing? And welcome to Brat Life TV. I'm your host, Adrian D.C. Dre Johnson. And let me start by saying I'm a brat, a Nuremberg Eagle, and an Augsburg Apache. And for those viewers that's not familiar with the schools I just mentioned, they're cities in Germany. That's right, I said Germany. And if you're wondering, how you get this 10 schools in Germany? I'm a brat. My father was in the military, like hundreds of thousands of other guardians and parents that was in the armed forces, the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, the Marines. We ain't asked for that experience, but we lived it. And today, our show we call graphic artists because we have a featured guest that's a graphic artist, a U.S. Armed Force soldier, a Nuremberg committee, or all area Germany committee, a husband, a father, my brother, Richard Rich Wilson Jr. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good. It's good seeing you. It's like the
It's
first time I've
definitely
seen
good
you
seeing
over 40 years. We're 40
Yeah,
years since the last time I saw you.
nah, it
But
might
I'm
not have
doing
been quite
good.
40. It might have been about 30 something. You understand? Yeah,
Yeah,
no doubt. Yeah,
yeah.
good
You looking
seeing
good
you.
though. You looking good.
Good seeing you. Most deaf. Most deaf. So, tell the viewers who is Richard Rich Wilson Jr.
Well, just like you, I was born in the military. My father was in Vietnam. He came back from Vietnam because my mom and dad, they have relations. And then I was born in Hawaii. Then I spent my
Hawaii.
whole childhood in the military as an Army brat. And then after I graduated high school, I decided to follow my father's footsteps. Decided to join the Army myself. So, well, I started off in the reserves first. I did my 3 years in the reserves. I decided to do, then after I got back from Desert Storm, I decided to go active duty. I said, might as well. They could call you up
We'll get to that,
anytime. So
brother.
I decided to go, yeah, so I decided to go
Yeah.
active duty. Then I
So
spent another 22.
we'll
Huh?
get back to that. We'll get back to that. But so you say you're from Hawaii is where
Man,
you
I was
was
born in
born.
Hawaii. I won't consider myself from Hawaii, but I adopted Augusta, Georgia as my hometown since my dad retired there and we were stationed there a couple of times. So
How
I
long did
decided to
you live
call
in
Augusta my
Hawaii?
home.
How long did you live in
I think I
Hawaii?
was only there for a year. I think I left there after a year old. And
Okay, okay.
man, I haven't been there since.
And then that's when you moved. And then that's when you moved to Augusta.
Yeah, well, my dad, he got stationed in Germany. Matter of fact, he got stationed in Germany after
While
he
you was
left
1 years
Hawaii.
old.
Yeah.
While you was 1 years
Yeah, I was
old.
about almost
Wow.
1 year old, 2 years old.
What
Yeah.
part of Germany? What part of that?
It was Frankfurt. Frankfurt, Germany. Yeah,
Yeah,
actually, yeah, and that's where my brother was born. So
really.
he was born in Frankfurt. Yeah,
Wow. That's what's up. You know that I used to do music out of Frankfurt.
yeah.
We was working a little deal up in Frankfurt. Yeah, but and that's interesting. So how long did you do elementary school in Frankfurt?
I stayed there, of course, maybe 2 to 3 years, and then after we left Germany, my dad got stationed at Fort Hood. Yeah, I'm still calling it Fort Hood. So he got stationed
Right.
at Fort Hood. Yeah,
Uh, and
and
Fort Hood is
then
what part of the world is Fort Hood?
well, I was about to say El Paso, Texas. Actually, in Killeen, Texas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. How long did you stay in Fort Hood?
I think we stayed there another 2 or 3 years, and then after we left Fort Hood, we went back to Germany. This
Right.
time we went to Bamberg.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wow. That's
yeah,
man. So you was living in all parts of Germany. So
yeah.
what school did you go to when you was in Bamberg? Junior high school.
I mean, I'm assuming it was Bamberg Elementary School. I was there from kindergarten all the way to second grade. I left there in my second grade year. So
Right.
I was there maybe like 3 years as well there too. So
Right. And
yeah.
then y'all left from there to go where?
And then after that, we left Bamberg. We went to Augusta, Georgia, Fort Gordon, better known as Fort Eisenhower now, but to Fort Gordon, Georgia, to
Right.
Augusta. Yep.
So then from Augusta, that's when you came to Nuremberg?
Yeah, we lived in Augusta from 79 to 84, all those years. So I almost was from maybe
So
from 9 years old
you
all the way
did
till I
the
was
end of your
14.
so you did the end of your elementary school to junior high in Augusta.
Yeah, I was already middle school in Augusta. Yep. And then after that, we went to Germany. I went from middle school to high school less than a week. Yeah.
And came to Nuremberg.
Yeah, came to Nuremberg, and
And
that's
that's where
one
we
of the
met at.
best experiences. Yeah.
Yeah, that's where we met at.
Yeah.
Y'all crew, you was that Allen and
Yeah.
Bone?
I met,
Yeah,
actually, I was like the first person I met when I got there, Alan Schaumburg, one of my
right.
closest friends to this day. Yeah. And then, of course, my brother, we hung out with us, then John Silas, and then everybody else.
So
So
that was 84 when you came. Was it a
84,
culture shock?
yeah, I got there December 84, but I didn't start school until January of 85.
So
Because I got there,
go ahead. We'll go ahead. Just say
so I got there during the holidays. I guess it was the holidays in 1984 in December, but I didn't start Nuremberg High School until January. I don't remember exactly what day, but I think it was like the first week of January. I started school there. So yeah.
right. So so it wasn't a culture shock to you because you'd have been to Germany majority of your life.
Yeah, you know what? It was actually kind of a culture shock a little bit because, things in the States is a little bit different than things in Germany. You got the civilian life of Georgia, then you got the military brat life in Germany, which I think for me, that was the best experience that a person can have going from Georgia to Germany. Yeah. So, yeah, it was a culture shock. Yeah, it was.
So when did you come back to the world?
I came back to the world in 1987, November of 1987. Yeah, I left Germany in 87. And then when I came back to the States, again, it was a culture shock. So
Right.
that's another
Way
story.
different.
Yeah, that's another story. But I had a bad experience coming back to Georgia. I mean, yes, coming back to Georgia because things were a little bit different than I was used to in Germany, you know? So, yeah.
But of course, I mean, it was faster. It was a lot more happening. They was over here playing with them guns way before. Yeah. So
Yeah, life
it
was
was
much serious. Yeah.
yeah, it
Life
was
was
a whole
serious when
different.
I go back to the States. Yeah.
Yeah. You gotta be on your P's and Q's. You understand?
Exactly.
Dotting your I's and crossing your T's because it's a different speed over here.
Yeah. Different ball game, different lifestyle, everything was different. And it
Right.
took me a while to adjust because I actually missed Germany. I
Right.
miss I miss the culture of Germany. Not only that, I miss the people that I hung out with.
You see, that's
We
what it
didn't have a
was.
lot of yeah, we didn't have a lot of drama. I mean, we had kid stuff, but it was like back in the States,
Right.
things were a whole lot different. Yeah.
And it's different when you like we kind of grew up together and then we're not around each other any longer. So now it's different. You understand? Because you don't have that homie that you used to be able to go over there and be like, yo, you so used to being able to be with this homie, and now you can't even. You don't even. When you first come back, you didn't even know where they was. If it wasn't for social
Yeah,
media and things like that, back when we came back, it wasn't no social media, none of that. So it was kind of hard to find anybody, keep up with everybody.
exactly.
You understand?
Yeah.
So
And
definitely
the crazy thing about it too, the kids were we were all kids, but the students it was different in Germany. When I got back to the States, nobody said, welcome, how you doing?
Nah, none of that. None of that.
Yeah, it was none of
They
that. It
kicking
was a
you.
new,
They
yeah,
scoping you. They trying to see what your flavor is. They trying to see
yeah,
if you the one they gonna be. Yeah, they vultures out this joint, man.
yeah,
Like
it
yeah,
was. Because,
it's
like in
real. You got
Germany, yeah, like in Germany, you the new kid, everybody know who you were, and everybody would embrace you, no matter you were white, black, Asian, Hispanic,
right,
everybody
right,
embraced you because we all in the same boat, we all
right.
welcomed each other and became friends. So yeah,
Exactly,
man, it was a different
exactly. So
different world when I got back. Matter of fact, it's crazy that I had some friends I knew before I left to go to Germany. They didn't know who I was. So, they treated me differently.
right, but like you the ones you grow up in the sandbox with ain't the same ones that
Nope.
you get grown. Nah, it's a whole different life. So you gotta know when to hold them. Yeah. So you went in the service. When did you go in the service?
Well, after I graduated high school, I decided I wanted to go in the reserves at the time. I wanted to try the college thing. And I started college and everything. First I went to basic training AIT. And then I came back, I started school. And that's when the whole Desert Storm thing happened. And the I got called to go active duty, and then I spent like 8 or 9 months in the regular army because of Desert Storm. So yeah, I was in the army. Yeah, I was in the army.
Okay. Like field artillery.
Oh, I went in
Or
as an 88 Mike.
did you work in the mess hall? You understand? Let me,
No,
if
actually,
you
I
let
was the
me know.
88. I was the 88 Mike, a truck driver. And there's a crazy thing about it. That's the job they had for me at the time because that's what the reserve unit was. They had there. So I became a truck driver, and I had to learn how to drive a stick. I had to learn how to, maneuver a 18 wheeler, almost like 18 wheeler. But yeah, when I went army, I did it. I did that for 3 years. My first three
So
years.
you was dropping off the equipment to the soldiers that was
Yeah,
at
actually,
um.
we was a field company. So we had to drop off the fuel to the tanks, the Abrams, the Bradleys,
So
anybody
did
who
anybody ever
got gas. Yeah, so we had to drop
they
off the
ever try
fuel.
to they ever try to hijack the truck? Like did they try to?
No, actually, it's crazy. I got different story to tell you, but I don't know if I have time for that. But yeah, I kind of I was there, but I missed the war.
We
Because it
got
lasted for
time.
a couple of
Tell
days.
man, we got time. Tell the story, man. That's what we
Okay.
here.
Okay, yeah, okay. So at the time of Desert Storm, I was a fueler, and our job was to, like I said, fuel the tankers and the infantry guys, the tankers, the Bradleys, anybody that had vehicles. Our job was to transport fuel to the guys on the front line. So what they did was they broke us down two shifts. The first shift, they did their thing. I think they're supposed to do their thing for 3 or 4 days, and then we come in there to relieve them. And we keep doing it, and we go back and forth so we can have some time to rest. Anyway, so we were on this bus, like a like a school bus, riding around the
Okay.
desert for a week. When the ground war was going on. Yeah, a week, almost about a week. And somebody said, dang, by the time when we catch up with everybody, the war will be over. And that's exactly what happened. I missed
Wow.
the war. I was there, but I didn't see nothing crazy except for, people begging for MREs and water. But by the time we caught up with the rest of the brigade, the war was over. So I didn't get a chance to do my job. I missed out. So we
Wow.
kicked butt and it was over. Yeah, about a week. Actually, the ground war was about a whole week, I remember. Yeah. So yeah, it's crazy, man.
So
Crazy experience.
what was you thinking when they first gave you that call? Like, yeah, you gotta go to war, man. You gotta go in. What was your
Yeah, it was crazy because it was so surreal. When you saw it on the news when Iraq invaded Saudi Arabia, well, not Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, I never thought we'd get caught up. And then as time went on, they talk about calling National Guard reservists. I said, man, this thing getting real.
Right.
Then
Right.
the next thing I know, I got a call because we didn't have cell phones back then. So
Right.
I got a
Select a
well,
few.
yeah.
Select a
So
few aspects.
yeah, so I came back home from school. My father gave me the bad news. Said, hey, son, your unit called you. You've been called up. So we had to report in, and it was crazy. Yeah, it was so surreal that all that happened. And then to get there to live it, it was a whole different experience. So I was only 18 when this happened. I was 18 years old. So yeah, man, it was crazy.
You want to join because your father was a lifer. You had to step in. How long you was in the service?
Yeah, I actually, like I said, I joined for the college money. And then after I did those 3 years in the reserve, I decided to go active duty because nothing was happening at home. I tried to go back to school. It wasn't the same. So I decided to go active duty. I wanted to be like my dad. Uh, I decided to go in. I went active duty. I changed my job. I went from a 88 Mike truck driver to a air defense. The same branch that launched the Patriot missiles. So I was in that same branch. I was a 14 Sierra, a Manpad crew member, and we shot the Stinger weapons system. But yeah, I did that for 20 more years of that. 21, 22 more years of that. I stayed in after that. So yeah,
I like to thank you for your service. You know what I'm saying?
thank you.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
You know, this brat life. So without you, it wouldn't be no brats. You understand?
yeah, yeah.
You gotta
Without
be enough.
our fathers and mothers, won't be no brats. So
Right, no
yeah,
doubt, no
man.
doubt, no doubt,
Yeah,
no doubt. But I mean, you part of that clan now because you are a serviceman that not only are you a brat, but you are a serviceman. You know what I'm saying? And
yeah,
you're a life. You understand? So that's salute. And you you know what I'm saying? You fought in the war, even if you ain't fighting the war. You understand? You
yeah.
went in the war. You understand?
Well, shit, that I made up for that later.
You know, cause I was joking earlier. I was like, which was in the mess hall. You understand? But but even the secretary get a award for being in the war. You
Oh
understand?
yeah, yeah. Everybody got to do their part. I
Yeah,
know.
no doubt.
People talk about the mess hall, but without the mess hall, we can't eat. And when you
Right,
can't
no
eat,
doubt.
you can't fight.
Can't
You know what
work.
I mean?
Right,
So yeah,
right, no doubt, no doubt. So you on the Nuremberg Reunion organization? Can you enlighten us about the audience about the committee?
well, I'm not exactly on the committee, but Vanessa Torres, a fellow Eagle, she asked me, "Do I want to help? Get all us former Eagles back together." I won't say former Eagles. We Eagles for life.
Right, no
So
doubt.
she wanted to start up a reunion because in the past they've been doing reunions in South Carolina, Myrtle Beach, but
Right.
it stopped. I don't know why it stopped doing it. I guess people, life
I
goes
don't know. I
on.
attended a few. I attended a few. They were nice.
Yeah,
They were nice. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah. I heard it was
We had a good
good.
time. I want to say the last one I went to, I didn't see her there, but Terry was there.
Yeah.
Me,
Shout out to
Red,
Terry, my
and my
buddy right
buddy.
there.
Right, shout out to Terry. Yeah, but them joints been all right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
When I appreciate the coming back together, the
yeah,
camaraderie. You know what I'm saying? Us getting to reminisce on some of the past, get to talk about what we've been
yeah,
doing, and and building that chemistry back up again. It's a beautiful
yeah.
thing.
Yeah, and I wanted to do those things, but at the time I was in the army, every time they have a date, either I got deployed somewhere or I was in the field, so I couldn't go, I couldn't do anything. I never had time to
Understood.
do it. But, I wanted to go, but now I'm making up for all those things. So, well, but anyway, Vanessa, she asked me to help, to get the word out there. So they're gonna do one in Dallas. So she's working on that one. So she's trying to get the word out there to get Eagles, numerous Eagles to come and join, past Eagles from the time they started in the 40s to the time they shut down in the early 90s. All Eagles are all welcome. So
Exactly, exactly. No doubt. Eagles for life. Yo,
Eagles.
so you do the graphic work for them.
Yeah. I did a couple of work for her. And then I'm also, I'm actually a part of the committee, the All Area Black Reunion Committee.
Yeah, well, I
Yeah.
was going to
And shout out to Corey Jenkins. And I
Corey.
started doing it. Yeah. I started doing it. And this was I stopped to learn how to do the graphics. And I just decided to go to school for it. And I'm just learning. And I was terrible in the beginning, amateur, beginner. And I knew what I was doing, but I didn't know what I was doing.
Right.
And I'm doing it for free, I still do it for free for them, part of the committee. But the thing I'm loyal to Corey for, he knew I was still learning and he stuck with me as the
Right.
years went by. Yeah, he stuck with me. He kept encouraging me to keep doing what I was doing. But as people say, why he doing that? He don't know what he's doing.
Right.
Yeah, so but he stuck with me and I've been doing it ever since. So shout out to Corey for
Shout out to
having
Corey.
faith in me, let me practice, experience, to get my work out there. And also, I like to send a special shout out to DJ Easy G, rest his soul. He was the first person to ask me to do a logo for him. And that was the first time I ever did a logo for somebody. And he sent me a sketch. I did a logo and he loved it. So I like to send a shout out to him and his family because, without him asking me to do his logo,
Right.
I
You
won't be
never.
where I'm at now. So I
Right.
appreciate that too. Yeah, for those two guys for sticking with me, encouraging me to keep doing what I'm doing. So
So at one time you was doing the Brat t-shirts as well, right?
yeah, I was doing t-shirts on my own, I kind of
Right.
stopped doing that. But I still do it for people, if somebody asks for a request and they want a certain design they want me to do, I do it for them, not for free, but I do it
Of course not.
for them,
Of course
I give
not.
them a fee
It's
and,
not
and do it for
worth.
them. Yeah.
But but you had a nice little selection. I used to peep your selection. You had a nice little selection of teas that you had that you was marketing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Nice little catalog.
I was
Can
doing
you
that for a while. Like I
elaborate
said,
on
I
that a little bit?
enjoyed it. Yeah. Say,
I mean, elaborate on the different designs and things that you had. For the listeners and viewers that's not familiar with your work. You understand?
yeah.
Talk about some of the T-shirts that you had put out, or some Brat
Yeah.
Life that you had.
Yeah. Well, I started off doing t-shirts catered to the military brats, you know, I try to have a selective audience to do for the brand, something that we all can relate to as
Right,
military brands, whether we're Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, even the Space
right,
Force, when it comes to them
right,
there. So I'm trying to do something for us brats. And I did that for a while, but, after a while, you know how people are, I like your shirt, but can you do it this way? Can you do it that way? And after a while, it got kind of tedious. And
right,
also, I mean, I was making decent money, but at the same time, I wasn't making a profit from it at the time. So I decided just to cut the web page out and have people to hire me to do the work for them, or to come up with a design. They come up with a design, I do it, then I see if they like it or not, and then we go on from there and get it printed out, or either they get it printed out. They just pay
right.
me the fee,
Pay
yeah,
you to
and they
get your
go on
work.
from there. Yeah,
Exactly. So you said that they coming up in Nuremberg's reunion is coming up in Dallas. Do you know the
yeah.
date and the times of those dates? And
I don't have the date and time yet, but I know they were saying in October time
right,
frame, in October.
I wanted to say 9th through the 12th, but I don't. I gotta check. Here, let me check
Yeah,
my.
I gotta check that too. But yeah, I know it. I know it's in October. I think whatever that weekend. I think it's like Veterans Day weekend, or I forgot what weekend that is. But yeah, And then I know there's a couple people asked why they didn't want to do it in Myrtle Beach, why they asked it's not being done in Myrtle Beach. But Vanessa lives in Dallas, so she said it'd be easier to coordinate everything there in Dallas, to get everybody there, the hotel and things to do. So yeah,
Yeah, I mean, whatever works, you know what I'm saying? I just like
yeah,
the ambiance of the whole thing, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, we get to come together, reminisce a little
yeah.
bit, have a little fun. You know, the whole thing, man. So what about the all area reunion?
Oh yeah, like I said, the art area is for everybody. It's not a particular school. It's not just
Exactly.
Nuremberg, Frankfurt, Bamberg. It's everybody. So
Right,
everybody comes together, you know, talk about the old days, talk about whose school was the best, who we beat in
right,
football, basketball, soccer, and all that stuff.
exactly.
And so I've been going to them since 2017.
Yeah,
And it's been great, yeah. So I met a lot of great people from different schools. So yeah,
and where
so
and where are they normally located at?
this year they're doing it in San Antonio, June 19th through the 22nd. Tickets are on sale. Just go to Brat's Art Area page and get the tickets. But yeah, so they're doing it in San Antonio this year. They did it there once before, and it was great. Because, San Antonio is like a military brat town. They got the Navy. Well, I think they got some Navy, the Air Force is there. Of course, the Army is there, and they cater to the military out there. So yeah, we got some things going on this year there. So everybody should come out there and check it out.
And you said those dates is what days
June
is that again?
19th, yeah, 19th through the 22nd. Yeah.
Wonderful. So I expect to see everybody out at the R area
Yeah, come on
June
out.
19th, June 20th.
Yeah.
Where is San Antonio?
San Antonio, downtown. The Doubletree by the airport. That's the name of the hotel. You can get your reservations there and find the Brass Art Area group and register. Yeah, get your reservations on. So
That's what's up. All right. Expect to see everybody there.
yeah, expect
All
to see
right.
all of y'all there, and that includes you too, Adrian.
Yeah, Bright
Come out
Life
there,
TV got
man.
to be there. Bright Life TV got to be there.
Yeah, y'all gotta
Yeah.
be out there. Yeah,
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 yeah, yeah. Bright Life TV got to
yeah.
be
We
out
gotta
there.
support each other, man. We all
Yeah, no
brats gotta
doubt.
support each other.
No doubt. No, no. Brats. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was the most important lesson you learned in your life?
Let me see. That's a good one. Well, first, enjoy life, man. Life is too short. That's the most important thing. Lesson I have learned. As a young man, I take life for granted. You think because you're young, nothing gonna happen to you. As I get older, we see some of our buddies pass away, people that we grew up with pass away. We're getting older. We need to take care of ourselves more. So yeah,
Right.
man, just enjoy life, and that's what I'm trying to do. Now I'm trying to enjoy life, and
Feel
that's
you.
why I like doing. And that's another reason why I like doing these reunions. People might say that they might call it the Al Bundy syndrome. We kind of reliving our childhood, but those times were great for us.
Right.
So, but that's why I to enjoy life now.
Right. And to see people that you haven't seen in a year or 2 years,
Yeah,
but you grew up with them,
yeah,
you ate with them. You understand? In some cases, if we played sports, we slept together because we had to go on the
yeah.
road. You
Go on a
understand?
road trip. Yeah, man.
Yeah. So we might did anything together. You know what I'm saying? We
Yeah,
so it's definitely it's a good feeling to when you get to see like even when see you, we haven't seen each other like you said 30 something years, and it's like wow, you understand?
yeah,
Wow factor to it, you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
So
It's crazy.
yeah,
Yeah, and the crazy thing about it, the last meeting I went to was in Atlanta, and John, one of my closest friends. he made a statement, and I never thought about it this way. We spent 3 years with each other, 3 years, 365 days, every day with each other. And we made long life friends with each other. And the crazy thing about it, I used to be jealous of people who live in the same small town and grow up together
Right.
and live their lives. But we
Right.
lived here for 3 years. Yeah, we moved away. Somehow we kept in touch. Social media came around, brought us all back together. And I've been friends with everybody for years, you know. Even
All
the
of
ones I never thought we got along with, you know, grow up, get past that, and you're still cool. So
right.
yeah, man.
And all around the
Yeah,
world. All around the world.
yeah,
That's the crazy part.
exactly.
So if you could give your 18-year-old self some advice, what would you say?
Hang in there. Go with your first instinct. Go with your first decision, and life will come to you. You know, that's what I would tell my younger self. You know, hang in there, because you know there's a lot of obstacles in life. You know that I have went through. I'm sure everybody else has gone through obstacles in their life, but I would just tell myself to hang in there and keep God first. You know, life always knows what it's doing. Even though you might not think the life knows what it's doing, but somehow life knows. So, and there's a reason for everything. Yeah.
So who's the three most influential people in your life and how did they impact?
I'm gonna say my mom and dad. My mom and dad. Those are three, and then my brothers. You know, you said three, but my brother, my younger brother, I'll mention, but my parents mostly because they're the reason why that I had this brat in military life. So my dad, you know, I always take it. That's another thing, you know, you take for granted. You know, my parents are still alive and healthy. You know, I had both parents. You know, and they were great. I had a great childhood, and I thank you for everything. So those are most, you as a kid, they tell you something, yeah, yeah, whatever. They don't know what they're talking about, yeah.
Right. No
But
doubt. No
I
doubt.
look back on it, my parents were great. You know, yeah, they made some mistakes, but as a kid, you never think they made mistakes because you always think your parents are perfect. And
Right.
those two are the best. And my brothers, those are my buddies, even though I haven't, I don't see him every day, we do talk, actually, and then my brother, well, the middle one, you probably remember Sean, he was the one we hung out a lot. Great guy, great brother I can have. And then my youngest brother, he's a graphic designer as well. And I kind of I look up at him for that, for advice. I go to matter of fact, he's my youngest brother. So I go to him for everything. I say, hey man, what you think about this? And he give me
Right.
the truth. Yeah. So,
So
yeah. So those are people, of course, I had other people in my life, people in the army, people I grew up with in Germany, everybody plays, at their role. But my parents, well, my family are the number one. So, yeah.
that's what's up. So, and the last question, what does it mean for you to be a brat?
It means the world to me. It means the world to me. Like I said earlier, being a military brat taught me a lot. Even when I lived on Fort Gordon, it taught me a lot. Living in Georgia, it wasn't easy, around the racism you know, and then when we moved on Fort Gordon, I learned a lot from different people, from different races. I know we got this thing now that the United States is going through about the diversity crap, try to get rid of it, which I disagree with because my experience as a brat, I lived next door to all types of people, and
That's
I
the
learned a
real.
lot from each culture.
Exactly.
So yeah, man. So
That's the one thing
I
about
love
being.
being a brat. Yeah, I learned a lot. Even when I was in the army, the same thing. Even though I was a brat, military, same thing. You work with a whole group of people you depend on. You got to trust to have your back, no matter what color, race, creed, religion, sex they believe in. We need it. We all stick together. So it means a lot to me being a brat. Yep.
That's what's up. That's what's up. And before we go, we had a lot of brats that you know and I know that passed before us as
Yeah.
something that we don't know. You understand?
Yeah.
So I like to take time in the show to give them a moment of silence.
Yes.
So we're going to take this time to do a moment of silence. Salute.
Salute.
And I want to thank today's Mr. Richard Rich Wilson Jr. Yeah. So why don't you give the people your social medias so they, if they need any graphic work done, they can
Oh
reach out,
yeah. Yeah,
touch
you
you.
get in contact with me on Facebook. I'm on Facebook. Rich, well, on Facebook is Wilson Junior Rich. Got it backwards like that because my dad did Wilson Senior Rich, so I decided to follow his footsteps again. And I'm
Okay.
also on Instagram, Richard Wilson. And
Richard
also
Wilson Jr. Yeah, Richard
before I
Wilson Jr.
go, Junior, yeah, before I go, I did a book. I wrote a book, and
Okay.
then my brother did the illustration for me. I could have did it myself, but I wanted my younger brother to make this a family thing. I decided to write a book about my grandson learn how to ride a bike. And the moral of the story is don't quit, don't give up. You just keep pushing yourself. And the book is called Xander Rides His Bike. So guys can check it out. It's on Amazon. You get it on Amazon. Also, you can get it on what's the other? I can't think of the other book company at the top of my head, but yeah,
So you did all the
it's on
graphic
those
work in the book?
Yeah, my brother actually did the illustration. Like I said, he's a graphic designer. He's an illustrator too. He does a lot of work too, and we have worked together a few times. Usually when he's
Y'all did
busy, he send
teamwork
me
on
his
that book.
work.
So
Huh?
you all did teamwork on that book.
Yeah, I wrote it, and then he decided to do the graphics for me, and we did it together. It's a family affair, so
That's what's
yeah,
up.
it was a good experience. So yeah,
Solid.
man.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
And you said you can find that where now? On Amazon? Where?
And what's I can't think of the other book company. Yeah, you can get on Amazon for sure. For sure, you get it on
Okay.
Amazon. So you can get it
Okay.
on Amazon.
That's what's up. The how many pages is it? Is it nice?
18 pages. Well, it's 20 something pages, but it's a
Okay.
children's book.
It's a children's book, right? Right. Okay. That's
Yeah,
what's up. That's what's up. That's what's up. Shout out to. So y'all get out there and go buy that book for your children. Let your children read. You understand? Your
yeah,
grandchildren. Get your grandchildren books. Nice birthday gift. You understand?
yeah. And also,
Reading
I'm
this
working on
one.
another one. I'm working on another one too. So I'll be working on another one this year too. So I'm trying to
That's what's
become an
up.
author. I'm trying to get my Alice Haley on.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
Yeah. So
You
yeah,
understand? That's what's up. Well, we're glad to have you out once again. Glad to know that you got the book out too. We got to put that out on the platform. You got to send me a copy, or I go ahead and purchase a copy. Where you say Amazon, so I can be able to
yeah.
put it on the
Amazon. I seen the
platform.
link. Yeah, I'll put
So
the link on there. I seen the link.
yeah, yes, text me that link or whatever, so I can get it out there
Oh,
to
the
the
other
people
one,
too.
excuse me, the other one, Barnes and Noble. That's what I couldn't think of it. Barnes and
Yeah,
Noble,
Barnes
Barnes
and
and
Noble.
Noble, and Amazon.
How you forget about Barnes and Nobles,
I
man?
don't know. I don't know how I forgot about Barnes and Noble, but I remember that it came back.
Yeah, it came back, my man,
Yeah, it
my
came
man.
back to me.
No doubt,
Yeah,
no doubt. So let's run down to Barnes and Noble and get that book. You understand? The name of
yeah.
the book is the
Xander
name of the
rides
book.
his bike. Xander
Xander
rides his bike. Yeah,
Xander rides his bike. You
my
understand?
grandson. Yeah,
So he gonna get me the link, and y'all gonna be able to check the link out also to purchase it on Brat Life TV. And we
yeah.
want to thank you once again for coming out. And like we do, we give all our guests some stars, spangles, and banners for coming on our show. So we're gonna make sure we get the Star Spangled Banner out to you for coming on Brat Life.
I appreciate it. I thank you, man. I appreciate this.
And to the Brats, we appreciate you tuning again. Same Brat channel, same Brat time. Till then, peace.
Peace.